Good evening and welcome tonight. Labour Party's presidential candidate Peter Obi and his running mate Dati Baba Ahmed take campaign to Kano State, assures women of better livelihood. People's Democratic Party asked the NDLEA and the EFCC to arrest and prosecute the presidential candidate of the All Progressives Congress, Bola Tinubu. Methodist Church Nigeria enthrones Right Reverend Nkechi Nwosu as the first female bishop in the country. And in the United States, 10 people are killed and at least 10 others wounded in a mass shooting in Southern California. President Muhammadu Buhari is expected to be back to lead his party's presidential campaign in Bauchi tomorrow. That's according to the Directorate of Media and Publicity of the Presidential Campaign Council. A statement by the director, Mr. Bayo Ononuga, says President Buhari is expected to lead the presidential and governorship campaign of the All Progressives Congress in Bauchi, scheduled to begin at 8:30 in the morning. According to him, the rally will take place earlier than other rallies, as President Buhari is also expected in Lagos tomorrow to commission the Lekki Deal Seaport, a public-private partnership venture involving the federal and Lagos state governments and a private company, Tolaram. Meanwhile, the Kogi State Governor Yahaya Bello has denied dumping the presidential candidate of the All Progressives Congress, Bola Tinubu, a governor who is reacting to reports in some sections of the media that he's dumped the party's presidential flag bearer, also called on relevant agencies to investigate and bring those involved to justice. He adds that as the national youth coordinator of the Tinubu-Shettima Presidential Campaign Council, he has unwavering support for the Tinubu-Shettima ticket. Governor Bello was guest on Channels Television's political program, Sunday Politics.
It's most unfortunate. And I am urging all the law enforcement agencies and all regulatory bodies regarding journalism and media practitioners practicing in Nigeria to please live up to their responsibilities. The current electoral law empowers even INEC to investigate things like this and prosecute the liars, those who perpetrate fake news as far as this election is concerned. And let me further reassure millions of Nigerian youths and Nigerians and our followers and supporters in the country and across the world that I remain very supportive, ardent supporter, mobilizer, campaigner, and driver of votes for our leader and the president in the waiting, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, the flag bearer of our great party, the All Progressives Congress, and my own brother, His Excellency, Senator Kashim Shettima.
The People's Democratic Party is asking the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission and the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency to arrest and prosecute the All Progressives Congress presidential candidate Bola Tinubu for alleged drug-related offences. Special Assistant to the PDP flag bearer, Frank Schreiber, made the call in Abuja. He's also asking the APC presidential flag bearer to drop his presidential ambition.
We're talking of a man who was convicted and who forfeited $460,000 to the American government because of a case involving or related to drug or heroin trafficking. But as of 2015, Bola Ahmed Tinubu was still involved with drug traffickers. Yes, the records are clear. And according to him and his agents, his goons, that particularly from the documents provided by the former MD of Alpha Beta Consulting, Tinubu's company Alpha Beta transferred the sum of $4,396,063 to a company known as Summit Integrated Services Limited. Summit Integrated Services Limited is a briefcase company created through a company creation service called Quality Company Formation in the United Kingdom. It is owned by one Epaquil Joseph the Office of the Attorney General of the Federation, and the Department of State Services to arrest and prosecute him.
Now, the PDP has reacted to the suit filed by the spokesperson of the Presidential Campaign Council of the All Progressives Congress, Mr. Festus Keyamo, against his presidential candidate, Atiku Abubakar, for allegedly siphoning public funds using a special purpose vehicle while serving as vice president between 1999 and 2007. The spokesperson of the PDP Presidential Campaign Council, Daniel Wala, calls for the sack of Mr. Keyamo for what he describes as abuse of office.
Somebody who is serving as a minister is being paid by taxpayers' money, using his own chambers, prosecuting a case by proxy. He knows the wider implication in terms of the law, and he also knows that his attempt to blackmail the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria may also have a wider implication. And as a lawyer and a senior advocate, he knows the decision of court that you can never force, the court cannot force a public officer from performing their duties. He knows that, but he knows what he wants to achieve with it. And I think that we are calling on the President in order, because we believe that he's committed to delivering a fair process, to immediately sack the Minister of State for Labor and Employment for abusing the office that he has, because that office is being paid for by taxpayers' money. And you cannot create confusion in that cabinet. There is also this threat to life, and I can tell you that because I myself have received threats from Asiwaju and his camp, and this is evident, is everywhere I've reported to law enforcement. A lot of people have been threatened. I am not surprised because a militia has been created, and I'm calling.
The campaign trail of the Oyo State Governor Seyi Makinde has moved to Egbeda local government area of the state with a promise of more development within the local government area. During his outreach to key areas within the local governments, the governor stated the residents of the state are in for better life and greater times if he is re-elected on March 11.
Casually dressed in a t-shirt and a pair of jeans with a baseball cap, the governor of Oyo State, Seyi Makinde, takes his campaign to Egbeda local government area. The governor, who is seeking a second term in office, drives through the crowd with his entourage while distributing campaign materials to the people who are out en masse to see and welcome their leader. There were momentary stopovers for the crowd to show their support and also to consult with stakeholders in the area, including Christian Association of Nigeria, CAN, at the Anglican Church, and League of Imams and Alfaz in Egbeda local government area at the council hall, amongst others. Done with the meetings, he says his administration has done well to earn the people's votes, and the PDP remains the party to beat in the elections in Oyo State.
You can see what's going on the streets. Where are they? They should beg them to please come out. They should come and campaign. They are not here. They've made up their mind and they are voting for us. They are voting PDP.
Some residents give their assessment of the first term of the governor's leadership.
We have discovered that with Seyi Makinde, a governor like Seyi Makinde, for the second term, there will be accelerated development of more dividend of democracy in Oyo State.
It's very, very good. For the first time, he appreciates us, he manages us, he do so many things for us.
Governor Seyi Makinde remains optimistic that the support from the people who came during this campaign will translate to massive support during the governorship elections in March.
And in Imo State, Governor Hope Uzodinma has begun a sensitization tour of the 27 local government areas. According to the governor, the essence of the tour is to instill confidence, assurance to the people of the government's support to grassroots development and admonish youth to embrace peace and shun violence, especially as the general elections draw near.
To
To further promote his passion for rural development, Governor Hope Uzodinma has commenced a tour of local government areas in the state to give the people at the grassroots a sense of belonging. The sensitization tour begins with a visit to Oru West and Oguta local government areas. On arriving at Oru West, which is his first port of call, the governor is received by the people as he exchanges pleasantries. After his brief remarks, which centers on embracing peace and support for the All Progressives Congress government, he presents flags to APC candidates vying for positions in the February and March elections. He then proceeds to Oguta local government for a town hall meeting with stakeholders in the area. The local government chairman commends the governor for his developmental strides, especially the planned dredging of the Orashi River project, amongst others.
Dredging Orash through Kukuta Lake into the Atlantic Ocean. Prompt response to victims of Kukuta local government flood disaster by providing palliatives. Awards for construction of modern primary schools in all the electoral wards in Kukuta local government. Payment of BEDC electricity outstanding bill amounting over 40 million naira.
For the governor, he regrets the continuous attack in his Zombe community, asking all the people to support the government for development to thrive.
There is no how in a community a traditional ruler will not know the identity of those who live there. There is no how in a community political leaders will not know the identities of those who live there. So if we don't prevent evil, we should not be crying when evil has taken us.
The governor's plan is to visit the 27 local government areas in the state before the February presidential election, as it will provide another opportunity for the government to assess the progress of ongoing projects in the local government and identify those requiring urgent attention.
The governor of Adamawa State, Oyo State, is reassuring the people of his resolve to bring more development as he once again requests their support at the polls in his second-term bid for the governorship of the state. He gave this assurance during his ward-to-ward campaigns across 3 local government areas of Fufore, Demsa, and Jure local government areas of the state.
As political parties continue their campaigns to woo voters ahead of next month's general elections, Governor Oyo State is not relenting in ensuring that he reaches all nooks and crannies of the state with his message of leaving no one behind and leaving nothing untouched. Not deterred by distance or the poor condition of the roads, Governor Fintiri traverses the landscape to get to the voters in rural communities after the Christmas and New Year holidays. This time around, he is visiting communities in Guring, Maraba, Chigari, Kalahi in Fufore local government area, where he promised to construct the Maraba, Chigari, Kalahi Road, the Mbamba community in Yola South local government area, and Vunoklang in Jire local government area. Thousands of supporters turn out to receive the governor and his team, chanting solidarity songs, where they are received by the traditional rulers. The governor was conferred with traditional titles by the 2 first-class chiefs for bringing development to their communities. With the new titles, Governor Fintiri heads for the campaign ground for the mega rally where the crowd awaits his arrival. Party faithful eulogized the achievements of the governor, explaining why he and other PDP candidates should be voted into office.
In this era in Adamawa State, all of us that have come with him and those that are not here, you cannot say we don't matter, we matter. You are a witness to what is here. And on the day of the election, everybody will take charge of his place. And so therefore we are saying we are with Fintiri, the rest should surrender.
You all know that when we are returned elected, His Excellency and the President will do more than our expectations, I assure you all.
Members of the opposition All Progressives Congress and other parties in their numbers use the opportunity to decamp to the PDP. Speaking in Hausa language to the electorate, Governor Oyo State assures them of more dividends of democracy, urging them to vote for former Vice President Atiku Abubakar as president in the upcoming presidential elections.
For me and my deputy, we will deny ourselves every pleasure for citizens of this state so that they can sleep with both eyes closed. We should come out en masse and cast our votes for progress in Nigeria. Come out and elect leaders that will bring lasting security in Nigeria. Come out and vote for leaders who know the job and can get it done and bring about increase in our commonwealth. I'm asking you all to vote for former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, the Waziri Adama, as president.
Governor Umaru Fintiri uses the opportunity to assure citizens of the state that his administration will build on the president's achievements, urging them to stand by the party to ensure this continuity.
In part two, after the break, we'll have more political campaign stories. Plus, a Methodist Church Nigeria enthrones Reverend Nkechi Nwosu as its first female bishop in the country. That's coming up in a moment. Do join us again. Welcome back. If it has joined us, watching the news at 10, live on Channels Television Lagos. Here's a reminder of our top stories. Labour Party presidential candidate Peter Obi and his running mate Dati Baba Ahmed take campaign to Kano State, assures women a better livelihood. People's Democratic Party asked the NDLEA and the EFCC to arrest and prosecute the presidential candidate of the All Progressives Congress, Bola Tinubu. Methodist Church Nigeria enthrones Right Reverend Nkechi Nwosu as its first female bishop in the country. And in the United States, 10 people are killed and at least 10 others wounded in a mass shooting in Southern California. To more politics now. The presidential candidate of the Labour Party, Peter Obi, says many of the challenges confronting the country could be traced to leadership failure. The Labour Party's flag bearer was speaking today when his campaign trail landed in Kano State. Mr. Obi, who was accompanied by his running mate Dati Baba Ahmed, also appealed to the youths not to allow political parties continue to keep them in a state of despair. He says the only way to do that is to go to the polls next month and vote for the Labour Party.
Mr. Peter Obi arrives at the Kano Pillars Stadium in Kano. He urges the crowd of youths to vote for a candidate who is energetic like them, as the task of leading Nigeria requires physical vigor.
Go out and campaign for us. Election this year will be by competence. It will be by capacity. It will be by compassion. Those who care about our society, it requires physical and mental energy. Look at two of us. We are prepared for the job. You can't find us wanting. Anywhere you find us, we'll be there. We are not asking for this thing. I've told you, but we don't want aid. We want governance.
The national chairman of the party wants the people to try something new, as the two major political parties have failed.
They have given us leaders that are corrupt. They have given us leaders that does not have what it takes to rule the country. And that's why today the country is in shambles. But my greatest joy today is that seeing this mammoth crowd in Kano, I'm overwhelmed by joy.
Mr. Obi had earlier visited Southern Kaduna on Saturday, where he held a town hall meeting with religious leaders, assuring them that insecurity will come to an end in the area if he's elected.
We will not shy away to lead from the front. We will be commander-in-chief. We cannot share the state with non-state actors. We said we're going to unite Nigeria. Nobody, no Nigerian will ever say again, I'm from the east, west, or south, but I'm a Nigerian.
The chairman of the Southern Kaduna Christian Leaders Association, Apostle Emmanuel Kure, who spoke on behalf of the religious leaders, prayed for Mr. Obi and urged him not to forget his promises if he wins the elections next month.
I want to say welcome to Southern Kaduna. The land blesses you, her priests and her kings bless you. And we pray you will prosper in this endeavor.
Mr. Obi also commiserated with the widower of the slain woman leader of the party, Mrs. Victoria Chintex. Daily Omoyeni, Channels Television News.
The current scarcity and increased prices of petrol being witnessed in various parts of the country is a result of mismanaged application of subsidies as well as corruption, which must be tackled. That's according to the presidential candidates of the Action Democratic Party, the ADP, Alhaji Yabagi Yusuf Sani. Alhaji Sani, who is also chairman of the Inter-Party Advisory Council, IPAC, told Channels Television's Ladi Akredulale on our election issues and personalities tracking program, Roadmap 2023, that if he's elected president next month, petrol subsidy will be removed on day one of his government, and the dampeners would be applied to cushion the effect on the most vulnerable.
It is a conundrum of corruption. Subsidy you are talking about, the manner by which it is given. So this is why removal of subsidy, the way it is being given today, because the way it's being given today is between the middlemen, those who are supplying NNPC the crude oil, I mean the refined products, who brought it to the jetties where you don't have meters to even meter how much has been brought. They will submit fake bill of ladings, and NNPC will facilitate the payments by PPRA or whichever agency is doing it now. And then the motorist, Nigerian motorists are supposed to benefit from this subsidy, does not get the subsidy. So this is what has been happening. So our government will, on day one, believe you me, we are going to remove the subsidy, but we are not going to leave Nigerians to their fate, to suffer the backlash of removal of subsidy. Because if anybody tells you that removal of subsidy will not bring about some hardship on Nigerians, it is not true. But our government, because we have done it before, we're going to do it again. Introduce dampers, make sure that the weak in the society does not suffer unnecessarily, because it is God-given gift that Nigerians should experience good life no matter what, and that's what our government is going to do. So subsidy removal, believe you me, is something that we were going to do from day one, because it has no meaning the way it's been handled. Even in America has highly geared capitalist system that you have, economic system you have there. They still have subsidies. They give subsidy to their farmers. They give subsidy to some sectors of the economy, because they realize that if you don't subsidize those subsectors, the economy itself will not be able to achieve its maximum efficiency. So this is why you select areas where you give subsidy and you apply subsidy directly to those ones. You don't pass it through middlemen like we are doing in Nigeria.
You can watch the full interview with Alhaji Sani on Roadmap 2023. It airs tomorrow, Monday, January 23rd at 9 p.m. right here on Channels Television. It's 34 days to kick off. Nigeria's politicians have been getting ready for what many call the World Cup of politics in Africa. A game that will be won by the numbers. The chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, Professor Mahmoud Yakubu, says all votes will count. Question tonight, however, is who are those that will vote? Babajide Ogusonwo, founder of Leadership by Data and Channels Television's data analyst, is here to share insights on the demography of voters. Babajide, great to see you.
Did you just almost call me Babajide Sonholu?
Your names sound alike. I'm so sorry. Also, apologies to the governor. But I don't see a crystal ball here where you're looking into to predict these elections. But I suppose that your analysis tonight will be based on the fact that more youths actually registered or have registered to vote in this year's elections. So how easy will it be to answer the question of how many youths are in Nigeria or how many youths are on the election database?
So, first of all, to answer the question of how many youths are in Nigeria, we'll have to know how many Nigerians do we have. And that answer hopefully will come from the census later this year. But my analysis tonight, I'll share some facts that will make some people sad and make some people happy. The analysis and the facts I'll share will make some people sleep well tonight, and it will keep some others awake. It will make some people lose hope, yet it will give some people hope.
Give us the facts. Now,
let's take a look at exactly what has happened between 2019 and 2023, especially looking at the facts as released from the Independent National Electoral Commission. In 2019, Amarachi, there were 84 million people on the database. Those I will classify as the effective youth voting bloc, YVB, 18 to 35-year-olds, 42.9 million Nigerians on that database in 2019. In simple terms, 51% of those on the database in 2019 were youths. Again, I'll repeat, 42.9 million out of the 84 million on the database as at 2019 were youths, more than half. Based on the facts we have today, the numbers have significantly changed, they have significantly deteriorated. We now have a situation where, yes, we have 93.4 million people on the database. That youth voting bloc, 18 to 35, we now only have 39.5 million. So what this means is that the youth concentration in the voter database has declined from 51% of which was the position in 2019, to the situation where today we have only 42% of youths on the database. So what we've seen over the past 4 years is that those that are 32, 33, 34-year-olds that we had on that database in 2019 have migrated. They've graduated to that category that we call above 35-year-olds. But what we've seen is in the last 4 years, fewer people, fewer 18-year-olds, 19-year-olds, 20-year-olds have joined the database. Let me make it more simple for you. The database as at 2019 was more youthful. This database is not as youthful as the database of 2019, and that is the fact. A situation where those that are above 35-year-olds, 35-year-old, are those that are the majority on this database. That was not the situation 4 years ago.
Yeah, but also keep in mind that many young people have also left the country, right? So even with the elections coming, how much of an impact will young Nigerians have on the polls?
So it depends on those that, yes, some youths will listen to this information and will lose hope. Some will listen to it and will have hope. But the fact shows that there are some states in Nigeria where we still have high youth voter concentration. And so I'd like us to look at the top 10 states where the youths will play the bigger role. That is where we should focus on at first. And if we look at those top 10 states, the state that has, as at today, the highest concentration of youths, 18 to 35 in their database, is Plateau State. 53% of the names on the electoral database in Plateau are Nigerians between the age of 18 to 35. No other state has that sort of youth concentration on its database. The next highest, Taraba State, and if you interestingly look at those top 10 states, Amachi, here's what you find. All the states in Nigeria that have the highest youth concentration are in the north. Across these top 10 states, 5 of them are in the north central, 4 in the northeast, and 1 in the northwest. So when it comes to youth participation, the exact phrase we should say is that it's the northern youths that would influence who will...
The northern youths who have registered to vote.
Northern youths, and the evidence even shows that it's the youths in the north central that have the highest youth concentration on the database. So it'll be interesting in another 34 days, after the election, once the result starts coming out, to really see what the youths in northern Nigeria did.
Yeah, I know we'll have you here when that happens. So will there be any surprises on the states that have a relatively lower percentage of youths on the electoral database?
Yes, a lot. And the facts will shock a lot of Nigerians. Let's look at the bottom 10 states with the least youth concentration, the states where the youths are less likely to rule. And if we quickly look at the bottom 10 states, yes, Edo is ranked number 27, Ondo 28, but the fact shows that Lagos is the worst performing state when it comes to youth registration.
That is shocking.
Out of the over 7 million people that are on the electoral database in Lagos, only 2 million are youths between the age of 18 to 35. Every other state in Nigeria has a better youth concentration than Lagos. In other words, in Lagos, it is not the youths that will determine who will become president, governor, House of Assembly, or whatever elections. It is going to be those that are above the age of 35. And that starts giving us an inclination to the sort of election result patterns and trends we'll see.
Babajide, you weren't lying tonight when you said we'll be shocked at some of the results that you
Oh yes, but in the next 34 days, we'll be doing a lot more analysis on across the 6 regions. But in the final analysis, Amachi, I need to ask you.
And a quick one too.
Based on this, are you still a youth?
I am still a youth.
Amachi.
And you're still a youth as well. I mean, even though you have some gray
Some
hair,
other time we'll discuss that.
you're still a youth. Even according to the United Nations, we still are youth. Thanks again, Babajide.
The pleasure is all
I stop
mine.
asking embarrassing questions on air. Moving on to other stories now. The Methodist Church Nigeria Archdiocese of Kaduna has produced the first female bishop who will preside over the Diocese of Jos in Plateau State. Right Reverend Kechingwosu was formally enthroned as the Bishop of Jos Diocese by the Most Reverend Joseph Nona, the Archbishop of Kaduna Archdiocese at the Christ Methodist Cathedral Church in Jos.
God is using what has happened in the Methodist Church Nigeria to tell the whole world that the time to release women to fulfill their destiny, the agenda of God is now. That without women and men joining their hands together, we will not be able to achieve the mandate of God, because it takes two to succeed. Even when God created, he knew that creating only Adam will not be able to bring his heart desire. So he had to make a woman to complement him. So for the word of God to reach out to the ends of the world, men and women must put their hands together to serve God irrespective of gender. Because God is a spirit. He is not the flesh we are seeing. This flesh is just for our own comfort here on earth. He said that everybody who believes in him and is led by the Spirit of God is a son of God. And so every child of God who is born again and indwelt by the Holy Spirit is a son of God. God sees us as sons, not as daughters, or not as men, not as women. And when men and women of God in charge of denominations understand this, I believe we will conquer more for the Lord than what we have done even at the moment.
Meanwhile, the Prelate Emeritus of Methodist Church Nigeria, Dr. Samuel Kanu, justified the enthronement, saying that God made all humans equal.
We decided that we should have a Methodist bishop. And I know that some time ago, the president of the British Church was a woman from Ireland. And recently, the Methodist Church of South Africa appointed a woman bishop as the presiding bishop of South Africa. So before I exited from office, I thought that we should appoint one of the eminent qualified women to be a bishop in our church. And I took the bull by the horns by nominating her, and she scaled through. She was then she made the first woman bishop in Methodist Church Nigeria.
The SocioEconomic Rights and Accountability Project, SARA, pursued President Muhammadu Buhari over what it considers his failure to reverse the increase in electricity tariff and to probe the spending of public funds as investments and bailouts to discos and gencos since 2005. The Attorney General of the Federation and the Minister of Justice, Abubakar Malami, the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission and the Nigeria Bulk Electricity Trading PLC are joined in the suit. SERAP is asking the court to compel President Buhari to direct NERC to reverse increase in electricity tariff. The rights group is also asking the court to compel the president to direct Mr. Malami and appropriate anti-corruption agencies to investigate the spending of public funds as investments and bailouts to discos and gencos since 2005. Following reported approval by the NERC, electricity tariffs were increased across discos in the country in December 2022. Now, officials of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, the NDLEA, have thwarted efforts to import 126.95 kilograms of cocaine and skunk, a variant of Indian hemp concealed in herbal tea packs from Brazil and Canada. The seizures were made at the Akanu Ibiam International Airport, Enugu, and Tinkan Island Seaport in Lagos. Meanwhile, the Drug Controlling Agency says its efforts to cut access to illicit opioids at a warehouse in Lagos has paid off with the recovery of a total of 1,645,060 pills of tramadol. In Oyo State, NDLEA operatives took into custody a 67-year-old grandfather after the team recovered 234 kilograms of cannabis in his house at Sokoto village in Owena-Ijesa. In Abuja, operatives raided Lugbe area of the FCT, where a dealer was operating from a batcher where 42.9 kilograms of cannabis.
Outstanding loans to 5% of the previous year's budget and mandating that the funding be repaid within the same financial year.
The legislature that is giving powers of control and oversight over public finances, where were they? Have they not been seeing the budget implementation reports? Did this 23 trillion accumulate in a day? It accumulated over a period of 10 years. But the accentuation of the accumulation happened in the Buhari presidency. They failed in the discharge of their duties. So any grandstanding now is not acceptable.
Nigeria has no choice but to repay this debt. Financial analysts, however, anticipate that the Senate, in its report on Tuesday, will approve the most legal manner of repaying this debt in a way that will cause the least hardship to Nigerians. Linda Akibi, Channels Television News.
Beyond our shores now, police is still looking for a gunman said to have shot and killed 10 people near Los Angeles in one of California's deadliest mass shootings. At least 10 people were wounded as well, and some in critical condition. The attack happened on a busy dance studio in the downtown area of the city. The shooting, perpetrated by a man still said to be on the run, happened at a ballroom dance venue in Monterey Park in California during the Chinese Lunar New Year celebrations. There's no information yet about the motive for the shooting, nor a description of the suspect, but aerial views on the scene showed several police cars positioned in the area. The shooting took place after 10 p.m. Footage on social media showed injured people on stretchers being taken to ambulances by emergency staff.
When officers arrived on scene, they observed numerous individuals, patrons of the location, pouring out of the location, screaming. The officers made entry to the location and located additional victims. The Monterey Park Police Fire Department responded to the scene and treated the injured and pronounced 10 of the victims deceased at the scene.
Eyewitnesses tell what they saw.
I had my headphones at the time, but I did hear some sounds going off, and I was like, fireworks? I remember even her coming in and telling me, she's like, you didn't tell me that they were going to have fireworks? I'm like, they never have fireworks, because I live in the city. I've been here every year. And, yeah.
I was like, sad. I thought we were missing fireworks.
And then I knew for a fact it was not fireworks when I heard the helicopter up above, because we never get helicopters around here unless it's more so on the East LA side or like the San Gabriel Valley, El Monte side.
Nearly 24 hours later, the shooter is still at large, but he is believed to be an Asian man between the age of 30 and 50 years old, based on description of eyewitnesses. The sheriff's department said it did not know whether the attack was racially motivated, but half of the victims were male and the rest female, and their identities have not been made public. Officials are also investigating whether an incident at another dance club in the neighboring city of Alhambra, about 20 minutes later on Saturday night, was connected with a massacre in Monterey Park. Witnesses at the second club see an Asian man walked in holding a gun that patrons were able to grab. No one was shot and the man fled. U.S. President Joe Biden has been briefed on the attack and directed the Federal Bureau of Investigations to assist local police. Meanwhile, Chinese all over the world kicked off 15 days of celebrations marking the Lunar New Year, the year of the rabbit. Here's a report on some of these celebrations across the world. Celebrations in the United States also held in New York, despite the shooting incidents in California.
Yeah, so I share all of my family and thoughts to the loved ones that they lost. We want to share the love that we can with our festivities, and we just hope that they have everything they need. We're here for them if they need it.
Over in London, tens of thousands of people packed into the West End to celebrate. The first of such celebrations in 3 years, free of worries about COVID-19. The London celebrations are the largest outside China, where the coronavirus is raging following Beijing's decision to loosen up its strict zero-COVID policy. Crowds packed the narrow streets of Chinatown, lining up for more than an hour for a seat in a restaurant while celebratory dragons and bands performed to onlookers. Many overseas Chinese in New Zealand and Japan celebrated the Lunar New Year, also known as the Spring Festival, by holding and participating in various celebration activities. Cubans and Chinese descendants celebrated the Lunar New Year and marked the Year of the Rabbit in the context of 175 years of Chinese immigration to Cuba by celebrating in the streets of Havana on Saturday. The celebrations, which took place in the heart of Havana's Chinatown, included the traditional Dragon's Dance and martial arts exhibitions. Chinese migrants began arriving in Cuba in the 1850s to work in sugarcane fields on the Caribbean island. And finally, the 2023 Spring Festival Gala, hosted and aired by China Media Group, brought audiences a grand treat of colorful performances, ranging from singing and dancing to comedic sketches and acrobatics in China. With a theme of new era of prosperity, better life in each passing day, the entire show adhered to the general tone of joy, auspiciousness, and jubilation, highlighting the theme of happiness and confidence, while striving to express the best wishes for the Chinese New Year in a vibrant, warm, caring, and hopeful atmosphere. In sports, yes, former champions Aqua United recorded their first win in the 2022 to 2023 Nigeria Professional Football League with an impressive 3-0 away win to Nasarawa United in Jos. Effiong Indefreke's brace and James Ajako's first half goal secured the visitors' win to hand the Lafia-based team their third consecutive. Also in Jos, Plateau United edged Eimba International 2-1, with Plateau United getting the winner 3 minutes of added time in the second half. It's back-to-back away wins for Bendel Insurance, who defeated Kwara United by a lone goal in Ibadan. In Group B, Lobi Stars ended the unbeaten run of Abia Warriors after 2 games, while newly promoted Bayelsa United beat Wiki Tourists 2-1. Arsenal made a huge statement of their Premier League intent earlier today, coming from behind to beat in-form Manchester United 3-2 in front of a raucous Emirates crowd. United forward Marcus Rashford silenced the home fans with the opening goal, but an equaliser from Eddie Nketiah and a wonderful second-half strike from Bukayo Saka turned the match on its head. The Gunners poured forward in search of a winner and eventually got the goal they deserved when Nketiah turned the ball home in the 90th minute. Earlier, defending champions Manchester City had closed the gap to just 2 points with their 3-0 win against Wolves, courtesy of Erling Haaland's 4th hat-trick of the season. And the main news again. The Labour Party's presidential candidate Peter Obi and his running mate Dati Baba Ahmed have taken their campaign to Kano State. The LP flag bearer assured women of better livelihood. Also in the news today, the Methodist Church in Nigeria enthroned Reverend Nkechi Nwosu as its first female bishop in the country. And in the United States, 10 people have been killed, at least 10 others wounded in a mass shooting in a largely Asian city in Southern California. That is the news at 10 tonight. Thanks for watching. I'm Amarachi Ubani. Good night and stay safe.